Here we go. American males, American males, American males, American males, American males, American males, American males. If you see them coming, better run for cover. Girls, you don't need a weekend lover. American males. If they want to talk to you, you better not listen. You might wind up in critical condition. American males. Ladies and gentlemen, hey there, hi there, most especially ho there. It's time for the Smackdown review. And I just wanted to get that out of my system because I've been thinking about it for a long time. And there, you all bore witness to it. Thanks for coming. It's Friday night, and let's talk about SmackDown. The final SmackDown of the month and the final episode of programming before the Royal Rumble. There's a bit to talk about for a show with so little meat on the bone. Let's just let's go start out with this right away because there's some stuff here. First of all, we open the show with substitute teacher Daniel Bryan making his way to the ring. Talks about how he's never won the Royal Rumble before and how winning the Rumble can put him in the main event of WrestleMania. Sometimes. He talks about how he doesn't have too many WrestleMania moments left in him, so he wants to make it count at the Rumble. He says his training from Alpha Academy, though, makes he and his hips super ready. So that's me paraphrasing it, though. By the way, let me just update the graphic here. Boop. And so suddenly AJ Styles of Raw appears. Yes, the Raw superstar. Why is he there? Well, you got Amos, who's wearing this like clear Band-Aid over his forehead from a gash he got, which just highlights it more than anything else. I would have rather just had a bandage instead of like the clear, shit, which you get when you get a tattoo to let it breathe and stuff. So he says, oh, it's the quarterly brand to brand invitational. Oh yeah, that old thing, that thing they talk about so many times. They've invoked it so often in the last couple quarters since they introduced it. So yeah, of course, AJ Styles is on Raw because it's brand to brand invitational. And so he talks about how he's the gatekeeper on Raw. Daniel challenges him to a match later tonight. AJ shoves Daniel down. We get this another weird looking awkward shot to emphasize how tall Amos is. Like we fucking need it when he's standing next to AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan. And so then Bryan tells AJ whether or not he shows up with Amos, he's still going to kick AJ's ass. Nice little opening promo. And there we go. Then we get a backstage interview with Bayley, which after a terrific intro, by the way, by Kayla Braxton. She just hypes Bayley up so well in that intro there. So Bayley says that Bianca Belair's Chronicle special was good to watch for her. And she says, but though Bianca shows in that she's just run away from her problems for half of her life, and she's the biggest problem she's ever faced. And so we get a rematch now, Bianca versus Bayley. They say this is the most important match, the biggest match in Bianca Belair's career. I guess saying nothing about the last time these two wrestled. And Bayley won that one. So I love Bayley in this match because at one point she grabs Bianca's big ponytail and starts swinging it around like a church bell, going ding dong, which was brilliant. You can't do that kind of taunt with everybody, so you might as well do it with Bianca Belair. Bayley works the arm. She hits the elbow drop and Bianca kicks out. Bianca going for the glam slam, but the arm gives out. But not bad enough for her to get KO, for her to hit the KOD on Bayley, though. So Bianca wins. It is her biggest win of her time on the main roster for sure. For sure. After an interview, she does a post-match interview on stage while Bayley's selling, and she says she refuses to apologize for being herself. It's a nice little inspiring message there. It says the biggest win of her career, and the one thing that can make it better is if she wins the Women's Royal Rumble match. So that's how we wrap that up. I thought it was a good match between these two. I'm sure we'll see more interaction between them at the Rumble. I think, the way they've built this program between them, I think, has been really good, in my opinion. We see backstage AJ Styles Styles, Amos, and Cesaro having a chat. And then we go to our next match as King Corbin Bleu takes out Dominic Mysterio. Last week, Corbin squashed Dominic in a match, and so then it's time for Daddy Ray, for him to take over as the shot caller in this one. Time to do things his way. Dominic pressing X during Corbin's entrance to attack him on stage. Where the hell have the Knights of the Lone Wolf been for the last umpteen weeks? And for that matter, where the hell's Murphy been? I feel like since he beat Seth Rollins on SmackDown, he's been invisible. He's not been there. What's been going on? So this match goes on. Ray's on commentary, and I cannot get over the levels on his headset because it's a different level than everyone else. Like, I don't know, it's at the distance from the mic to his mouth or what, because he's just eating that microphone, man. And everything he says is just, you can hear him breathing as opposed to, Graves and Cole, for example. And you'll hear him like make, exclamations, when Dominic's winning and stuff. And it just dominates the audio and everything else. So anyway, Dominic gets beat up a lot, takes an awkward header into the corner at one point near the end, but begins to come back. Corbin dodging a flying attack, guillotines him on the rope. Also, I like the emphasis on it, because usually when you see a guillotine on the rope, it's just somebody on the apron and they just literally just drop down with no jump to it. This dude picks up Dominic and drops him down, which is a nice little spin on that. I appreciate that. Hits End of Days to win for a second week in a row. Corbin goes to attack Ray afterward, but Ray fights back, hits the big flying sit, and that's where we end this. Sit back, Dominic. Let Daddy Ray do all the hard work for you. Dominic looked okay here. Just more of the same as last week, and, I know it's been less than a year, but the sooner Dominic can distance himself from Ray and go on his own, I think the better. We see Big E backstage with Sonya Deville. Excuse me. I did a little bit of running into the shed before I started recording, so it's like all the air is bubbling up. So we see backstage Big E in his Gremlins Christmas sweater, about a month too late, with Sonya Deville. He wants to bribe her for a good Rumble match spot, and it's a $1 bill. And he also says he's promising Arby's coupons later on, which was choice. The Miz and Morrison, noted Raw stars, appear. I guess it's that brand to brand quarterly invitational, baby. Miz says that tonight things could get interesting. He holds the briefcase. They do not get interesting. Well, they don't get interesting in a good way. Let's put it that way. Morrison makes a GameStop short selling stock reference, and then they mock Big E. E calls him over the hill, and they start fighting. That's the first time I think anyone's called Miz and Morrison like over the hill. Like, they are probably older than the average WWE wrestler. But yeah, they've been there a long time, especially Miz. So it's like, but they take care of their bodies. What can I say? Elsewhere backstage, we see Reggie, the Somalian sommelier, bringing Sasha Banks a bottle of wine, paired with losing the women's championship, according to Carmella. So Sasha looks to be coming on to Reggie at first, and then she kind of twists it on him, saying, can you find me a wine that would be good for Carmella's broken jaw? And, just talks trash and says she's going to win at the Royal Rumble. By the way, my bad for not including the women's title match in our Rumble predictions that I dropped earlier this morning. I didn't realize that was an official match yet when we filmed it on Wednesday. So for the purpose of this video, I'm going to say Sasha retains. That's my prediction for that one. Sami Zayn and his documentary crew run into Shinsuke Nakamura. Sami brings up their past in the Artist Collective, and Sami takes credit for all of Shinsuke's success, basically, and wants Shinsuke to help him out. Then Shinsuke says he appreciates everything, but go to hell. That's planting seeds for later tonight. We get some final words. We got a split-screen face-to-face promo between Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens in preparation for their last man standing match. Kevin says there's nothing Roman's family can do to keep him down, so he will win. And Paul Heyman speaks for Reigns at first, and then Roman starts twisting the knife a little bit and starts asking about Kevin Owens' father and grandfather. Roman saying Kevin's not supposed to be here. He is a pawn while Roman is king of the board. Roman calls Kevin a fool, which then in turn makes his father a fool and his grandfather a fool. And Kevin keeps warning Roman not to keep bringing up his dad and his grandfathers. Roman sets up a hypothetical in which Kevin Owens dies, goes and meets his grandfathers in the afterlife, and they are disappointed and ashamed of him for not acknowledging Roman Reigns as the tribal chief. Roman's delivery was way cooler than my paraphrasing, let's just say. But that's basically what it was. You're gonna go to heaven, and your grandparents are gonna hate you for not bending the knee. Kevin Owens calls Reigns a community theater version of a mob boss, which is a terrific insult, and he calls him an insecure bully. And you can just see Roman's face, kind of like twinge a little bit when he says that. Really, that hit hard for him. So he begins to get really intense and passionate until Roman suddenly has a remote control that can turn off access to his feed, which I've never seen before. But he presses the button and it goes black, and so Owens is kind of left standing by himself. But, I mean, this promo was great. I mean, talking about how Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns have good promos is like talking about how blue the sky is, goes without saying. It was a very, very strong way, I think, to end the build to their program. Then we go to our main event. Oh boy, folks. And what a main event we have here is Daniel Bryan takes on AJ Styles. Last time these two wrestled one-on-one was in the finals of the Intercontinental Championship tournament last year. And that was a great match. That was pre-Thunderdome days, actually, which is kind of interesting to think about. AJ's going alone without Omos. Cesaro joins the commentary team. And there's this one moment here where Cesaro's on commentary and he talks about Sami Zayn. He says he's constantly driving wedges between people. He's a wedge driver. I wanted him to pull a Charlie Murphy and go, he's a habitual wedge driver. Sami Zayn appears, speaking of which, hangs out on the outside with his documentary crew and his signs. Nice counter, the phenomenal forearm by Bryan into the label lock. But then there's a rope break. Big E then shows up. And okay, starting to get a little ridiculous here. Big E attacks Sami on the outside, which gets Cesaro's dander up. They're all fighting. Daniel Bryan dives onto Cesaro and Sami. Sami gets in the ring and fights Daniel, which causes a disqualification. And then out comes Shinsuke Nakamura, who runs in, fights the baddies. There's a cool moment here where he and Cesaro are about to fight, but they pause because that partnership there. I liked that. That was a really cool moment. There's this beat where they're not fighting each other before the other guys pile in there. And we go to commercial and we come back and it's a 6-man tag match. And apparently we're just watching Raw now. The match goes on. They wrestle for a while. So it's, in case you're keeping score, it's Daniel Bryan, Big E, and Shinsuke taking on Sami Zayn, Cesaro, and AJ Styles. So they wrestle for a while. Then, hey, ho, ho, Miz and Morrison show up, and they immediately jump Big E, and the match is thrown out yet again. Then out comes Otis. We go to commercial. We come back, and now it's 4-on-5 all of a sudden. So here, I have the names right here. Daniel Bryan, Big E, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Otis taking on Sami Zayn, Cesaro, AJ Styles, Miz, and Morrison. Cole immediately spoils the next twist by saying it's a 10-man tag team match, and then Graves has to cover for him by saying the card's subject to change. Graves thinks we'll see WrestleZania this year. And I'm like, God damn it, why haven't I trademarked that? That was the first thought that came to mind when he said that. Apropos of nothing, for really no reason other than, I guess, justice, out comes Sheamus from Raw. By the way, now he's just in the match all of a sudden, just takes the spot in the open corner and gets the hot tag. Okay, and then he gets it in, good hot tag. Everyone gets their shit in. Finally, Sheamus wins the bro kick on Sammy to win the match for a match he wasn't even in. Like, what happened here? We went from a singles match with Daniel Bryan. And I'll talk, you know what? I'm going to say that rant for a minute, because then after the match is over, Braun Strowman doing the things a beefy hoss can, and he just cleans house, and it's implied he's going to be in the Rumble match as we fade to black. What the fuck happened, man? We go from this like singles match, how did a match between Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles, which on paper is great, turn into a 10-man tag team match with a bunch of Raw guys, ending with Sheamus as the winner. He wasn't even one of the original run-in-E's, I guess he's a run-in-er at that point, not a run-in-E. But yeah, what a confusing bunch of bullshit that was. Honestly, they used this quarterly brand-to-brand invitational as an excuse. You used like a whole year's worth of uses of that in one night. Why? Just call it a super show instead of throwing out this lazy excuse of a reason to bring people in. And like, God, like you could have at least had an authority figure. Adam Pearce wasn't on SmackDown this week. Sonya Deville said in the backstage segment there was a cooling off period for the week, and so have her come out and make the match. Have it make sense, like it's just. I mean, and like I will say we've seen the lazy tag team match play out on SmackDown before, but it doesn't feel like it's been in a long time, and it never feels as lazy as what we saw tonight. And like it was Raw levels of laziness how they made this multi-man match. It was, the wrestling itself was fine, but the rest was totally unnecessary. Strowman running in at the end and destroying everybody was what made the most sense out of that entire segment from the beginning of Sammy Daniel or AJ Daniel to the end of the show. Totally unnecessary. Kind of left a bad taste in my mouth as we head into the Ramble Rumble. And I guess with that, I will go right on to, well, actually, before I go to the grade, now's a good time to plug my Pro Wrestling Tees store, prowrestlingtees.com/wrestlingwithregret. You're running out of time here where the proceeds from this month's and December's t-shirt sales will go to the American Lung Association in honor of Brody Lee. So go check that out. There's a brand new shirt design called Select Character, which features 6 of my most popular side characters. We've got a couple sales on that so far, and I'm really happy with it. So with that out of the way, let's go now to our grade plus, D plus. That's what I got for this one. You know, like, there's a show that I'm surprised how few matches this had. If you don't include every separate iteration of that 10-man as a separate match, if you just include all in one segment, you only had 3 matches on this show. Dominic and Corbin, whatever, is a squash. And then you got Belair versus Bayley. That was a good match. The promos with Roman and Kevin, great stuff as always. But yeah, I mean, the Rey Mysterio's headset was a distraction. And then, of course, that 10-man clusterfuck, which took well over 40 minutes of screen time, I think, for them. And, you know, like, hey, I'm all for workhorses. I think, you know, like, big multi-man matches are fine. But the way they built up to it, they ramped up to it, didn't like it. Did not care for it at all. Needless to say. So let's see here. With that, is the connection bad? I'm seeing people saying several minutes ago that the connection was bad. Is it good now? Whoops. I was not paying attention to that. What here, let me just go to, hang on. While we're here, what did y'all think of my what did you all think of my riveting live performance to start the show? What else can we talk about here? If you've not seen my Royal Rumble predictions video, you can go check that out. It's available right now. Me and Jay Biggs talk for a bit about our Rumble predictions, kind of assuming that Riddle and Bobby Lashley is going to be on the card. We don't know that for sure yet. And also, you've got the SmackDown Women's Championship match that I talked about. Hang on. I'm sorry. Yeah, get out of there. Get in there. So by the way, thank you very much for the 300 and change viewers we have right now. So I appreciate that a lot. Man, why is this? My chats, man. Here we go. Viewer activity. Oh, this is a much better system. Hang on a second. How are we doing? The entire set. What's up, man? By the way, has anyone done any stock purchasing of GameStop or AMC or all those dying stocks? Try and stick it to stick it to the man in Wall Street. Good for you guys, honestly. Good for you who are doing that. Let's see here. So if you want, I'm not going to try and speculate too much on who I think is going to win the Rumble. So if you enter chat things, like, don't ask that, because I recommend you just watch my Rumble predictions. So here we go. I can't show the comments on this one because I'm looking at a different computer here, but I'm going to read the super chats now. And the first one comes from Cheery, 2 rubles. Almost headbutted a door as a tribute to Goldberg. yeah, I buy that for sure. Let's see here. I am Error 199 super chat. If the Street Profits wrestle the Private Party, who wins? If I'm just kind of looking at a straight up fantasy book of what team should win, I think it'd be the Street Profits. Like, I think they're a better rounded team, certainly, and I think that they're, on the whole, they're a lot of fun to watch. And Private Party's fun to watch too, but I think they need a bit more seasoning. So if we're doing that fantasy matchup, I would put Street Profits on top. Ken Terminated by DQ says $5 super chat. Zane, call me a kiss ass, but I'm catching a cold. But your classic pay-per-view reviews and live streams made me feel better. Thank you. Well, thank you. I appreciate that, Ken. Thank you very much. M. Abe, $5 super chat. Given the current political climate, how would the Jack Swagger We the People gimmick be received today? I mean, short answer is they wouldn't do it, I don't think. But if hypothetically speaking, you had that character and you had the Zeb Coulter and Jack Swagger power team doing something like that in today's climate, I think that there would be a lot more uproar about it, more so than there was when it happened, I think, because people are just that much more ramped up and tribal when it comes to politics and stuff. And, and I thought it was a fine gimmick too. I thought it was great. I thought it was a good angle. I liked it. So that, I mean, maybe not in the moment, but like in hindsight, looking back on it, I thought it was fine. Let's see here. Andyman 576. Do I think Corbin would ever work as a face with a great moveset with deep six, end of days, and his inside the ring clothesline? That is a babyface move, isn't it? Like when he does the wrap around the post and comes back with a clothesline. Like how is that different from when John Moxley, Dean Ambrose did like the stagger back into the ropes and come back with the clothesline? It's the same basic move. So would Corbin be a good face? I don't think he would be. I think they experimented with it. I feel they experimented with it a little tiny bit a couple of years ago, back when he had hair and he was on SmackDown and he wasn't the king yet. But no, Corbin's one of those guys you can't really root for. I mean, you would have to change his whole style up in terms of like maybe not his moveset, but like his whole personality and everything he does from a promo standpoint would have to change. So yeah, there are some people who like are just natural heels and natural baby faces, and that's just the way the cards are dealt. And Corbin's a natural heel, and I think he does that job very well. Big fella, thanks. $10 super chat. What's the time I was most genuinely scared while watching wrestling? Could be a kayfabe or shoot reason. Mine was Pillman pointed the gun at Austin when he broke into his house. Yeah, I didn't watch back then, but if I did, because at the time I was watching, I was still pretty impressionable, still pretty gullible to a lot of like the worked aspects of wrestling. I remember very vividly thinking like the first WCW angle I can really recall when I was watching was like DDP versus Scott Steiner for like the US title. And I thought, I think they really hate each other. Like I bought into it. So I would have believed that there was a real terrifying moment with Pillman, 9mm or whatever. The part that most genuinely scared me watching wrestling, like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like if there was a moment or there was actually a moment, and this is not TV. This was like an indie show I saw in Sacramento. I was part of it, actually. I was working it, and then like afterward, I watched the main event from the sides. And there was a spot where the two guys in the main event did a superplex from the top rope onto the floor, which was just like so irresponsible. But it was like you're in like a high school gym setting, so it's like what the hardwood looks like, the court field. That's like they took a fucking bump from like the top rope to the outside on the floor. And the way they sold it, legitimate, I thought they were both just like hurt. And like I looked over at this other wrestler who was like, I think he was EMT certified. He was either EMT in training or he knew his shit more than anyone else. Let's just put it that way. So I looked at him. I'm like, you better fucking check on them, brother. I didn't know. And they were able to wrestle, and it was fine, I guess. I hope it was worth it one of them's the booker, and I know he didn't pay me anything. So I hope he and his opponent got something out of it. That's all I'm saying. Parker Soul saying $5 super chat. Will we see the three faces of Bliss this Rumble? I wouldn't be surprised if we saw that. I mean, just to pad the numbers. If you look at the matchup screens tonight, it's so funny how just like anemic the women's side of it looks compared to the men's side. It's like who the fuck are you gonna fill that spot with? Like, I guess like three faces of Bliss is an easy way to do that. So yeah, why not? Yeah, we'll probably see it. I bet we'll see it like all at one go. It's not going to be like Mick Foley, who came out like every few entries as a new gimmick. It'll be like somehow you'll see the trick. Maybe. Well, actually, you know what? It probably make more sense to have it do it the staggered way, so she can change her makeup, I guess. But short answer, we'll probably see it. The Jaguar 1983, $10 Australian, throwing in my Rumble Mania fantasy booking. Rhea wins. Charlotte gets the title before Mania. Rhea beats Charlotte at Mania for the title in the reversal of last year. Wouldn't that be a good reversal of fortune? That'd be a nice way to put a bow on that, I think. I don't think it will happen, but that'd be cool. So I'll put it that way. Oh, Jesus. I thought it was an Italian name for a second. Peter version 1. I thought it was Peter Versione. What title is that behind me? Apologies, just joined. I'll show you. So Peter Versione, let me tell you. Let me show you what this is. This is the WCW Hardcore Championship. Mikey from Black Label Pro, the promoter there, he wanted to sell it and I wanted to buy it. So there you go. Hardcore Championship, baby. I stole it from Meng. What's he going to do about it? Kiki, $5. Noob question. When I critique a match, do I sometimes refer... Oh, okay. When critiquing a match, you sometimes refer to a wrestler performing a headlock on the wrong side. What does that mean? That's a good question, and not everybody knows this. I'm going to do a little bit of inside baseball for you. If you watch wrestling, unless you're watching Lucha Libre, because they work in reverse, they do it opposite day. Wrestlers usually work the left side. So if I have somebody in a headlock, I would have him under my left arm, because then what that does is then you can do a counter where it's into a hammerlock or whatever, but then you grab the left arm and you work the left arm, and you work, traditionally work the left leg. It's like it's just a universal language. It's an easy way to remember things, although that came to bite me in the ass in one of my first matches, because we did a double clothesline spot with somebody, and I threw my left and he threw with his right, and it just got so fucked up we did it over again. And he as he's calling me, throw the clothesline with your right. I was like, oh fine, whatever, fuck you, I'm left-handed. And so but yeah, short answer, it's a universal language thing, and it's just you work the left side because that's what everybody does, and so it's easier to work those sides. Cheery, 5 ruples once again. I feel like Reigns won't drop the title anytime soon. It feels like Big E is winning the men's Money in the Bank and cashing it in on the final SmackDown of 2021. Does it feel like that to you? I mean, that'd be kind of cool. Yeah. I mean, you know what? I don't think he's going to hold on to it for the rest of the year. I think he'll hold on to it for a while, but I don't think it's going to be till end of year SmackDown. Excuse me. East Side Reviews, $5. Evening. Idea for a comparison type video. Whose reign of terror was worse? Triple H from 02 to 05 or Jeff Jarrett and TNA from 02 to 06? Both are worthy adversaries. I'd probably have to do a proper Jeff Jarrett and TNA from that time period review, and then maybe I'll make a comparison afterward. But if excuse me, the Jarrett reign of terror is definitely like a thing. It's definitely something I want to talk about in the future. So yeah, that'll happen one day. Pedro Lima, 5 ruples. One of my favorite videos of yours is the one I did with Blampier. Do I think about doing more collaborations with people I already have done things with or other channels? Yeah, I think about it all the time, honestly. And it's just something it needs to be advantageous for both of us, I feel, when I have a guest on, because I want to plug them, but I also want to glom off some of their success as well. It's a bit tit for tat. And then also it just has to make sense. I don't want to throw somebody in for no reason. I want it to, make sense from like a storytelling standpoint. And like, I know a couple of my collabs feel like that, where they feel kind of they're thrown together for the sake of collaboration. But I want to try and I want to be very choosy as to what I do with those. I'm all for like little brief cameos or walk-ons from other channels or other wrestlers. But as far as other collaborations go with other like YouTubers, like it needs to be right, and I need to have it like make sense, basically. But thank you very much. I like the Blampier collabs as well. Jordan Taylor, $10. Got back into wrestling this past autumn thanks to your channel. Well, thank you very much. I love hearing that. I haven't paid much attention since 2010 when I was in middle school. Long story short, I was excited to finally see my first pay-per-view live. I guess you're referring to the 2010 Royal Rumble. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. I hope you liked the review. I'm happy with how the Rumble review turned out this week as well. So yeah, that's the most recent classic one I've done since Money in the Bank 2011. So kind of crazy how things pan out. By the way, I figured it out what the limit is for a classic review. It's got to be at least 10 years old. I mean, if people have nominated a show that's less than that, they're grandfathered in. But my new rule now is 10 years or more. Jared Sum, $5. Hey Brian, your videos give me a positive time at night, and I love the retro reviews. Stressed with school lately, but your videos help me relax. Well, thank you, Jared. That means a lot to me. I appreciate that my videos can do that to you. By the way, how many of you fall asleep to my videos, like to help you get to sleep? I've heard people say that occasionally, so I'm just curious, who uses my dulcet tones to lull yourself into dreamland? Post that in the chat if you feel so bold to do it. Rugby Kumar, $4.99. No question. Just want to say you're the best wrestling channel on YouTube. Keep up the great work. Thank you very much, Rugby. I really appreciate that. Let's see here. Christopher Gabbianelli, $5. So are they forgetting who's on what roster? Yes, I think most of them, they usually are. Well, no, they don't forget because they mention, hey, this person's on Raw, but they have really flimsy ass excuses as to why they're on SmackDown. There's a difference. There's a difference between willful forgetting and just, being lazy. And that's what they were tonight. Joey AM, $5. Which of my characters do I think would be the most entertaining in the Rumble? Oh, it's got to be Claude. Claude the supermodel by far would be the best character. I think he'd be the favorite to win, actually, of my characters. When can you get a Dick Kick City shirt? Anytime you want, man, on ProWrestlingTees.com/wrestlingwithregret. You too can own a Dick Kick City shirt, which is my top seller. So go treat yourself in 2021 and get yourself a shirt today. Big fella, thanks again with $5. Do I think Sonya might use her power as GM to the number 30 spot from whoever wins that Natalya Tamina match tomorrow on Backstage? First of all, that's confusing to me. They're going to just put free matches on Backstage now. It's not just an analyst show. It's like, it's like every other show that's crossbred analysis and wrestling. It's been like live wire and fucking Jack in the Middle and everything. I think it's too soon to have a twist where Sonya abuses her power yet. We don't even know what her power is. Like, she's like still an underling to Adam Pearce. I guess she's the de facto authority figure when he's gone. I don't think she has a title even. She doesn't have a fucking like a name to go with her position. So I don't think it would happen. Not yet anyway. Like, I'm sure we'll get to a point where Sonya abuses her power at some point, but I don't think it's going to happen this weekend. J Slim, $9.99. What happens to Aaliyah and Buddy Murphy? That's what I asked. What happened to Aaliyah and Buddy Murphy? Thanks for your Wednesday review of AEW and NXT. I don't have time to watch both sometimes. That helps to keep up. Thank you very much, Jay Slim. Yeah, I too want to know what's going on with that storyline. Are they going to keep it going? Like, will Buddy come back and will the angle with Aaliyah Mysterio still be a thing? Or are they just going to keep him off TV long enough to hope that we forget? I don't know. But I always had weird feelings about that storyline. It got better by the end of it, but I was like, still, like, why are you even doing this? And especially now they don't even follow up on it. Like, what was the point of it? Sean D, I fall asleep. Howdy. Well, thank you. I'm glad that my dulcet tones can help. Christopher Gabbianelli, $5. Thoughts on Moxley Kenta? I just heard about that before I went live. Yeah, John Moxley, spoiler alert, he's back in New Japan. He confronted Kenta on tonight's New Japan Strong, I guess. More power to him. And I think that match is going to be dope when it eventually happens. Peter Frasinone, $2. Just wanted to say it. This isn't fair to Flair. Well, maybe if you watch my 92 Rumble review, it will be fair to Flair once again. What are we at now? 370. Thank you so much for those who are watching. I'm falling asleep now. Oh, well, wake up, fool. Love the W3 neon. Thank you. This was actually a Father's Day present I got from my wife a few years ago, actually. I got it and I didn't have room for it in the old setup. And so when I got the shed, when I got the office space, I made a point to leave space on the wall for that so everyone could see it. Who would I like to see as a surprise Rumble entrant? God, I don't know. Let's just do Rob Van Dam again. Why not? He's always a surprise entrant for some fucking reason. There was like a weird 3 or 4 year period where he just showed up every year in the Rumble match, did a couple spots on TV, and like that was it. Who would be a good surprise entrant? Well, Strowman would have been a good surprise entrant, but they blew that tonight. Who would be a good surprise entrant? I'm trying to think, like some NXT folks. I guess it'd be cool to see like Austin Theory maybe show up and get dumped out immediately because like his character, he's just an idiot. Or Kushida, that'd be pretty fun. Or maybe for the women's, I mean, like half the women's Rumble is going to be surprise entrance because no one's confirmed. So I guess we'll get like, I mean, maybe Becky Lynch should be a good surprise entrant. I mean, I know she had her baby, December? I'm trying to think of like what a good timetable would be, knowing how she's very athletic, how long it would take to get back in the ring, assuming she didn't have a C-section. I don't know. Becky would be a good surprise, but I don't think it might not happen. Well, it's funny. Big fella, thanks, just posted a super chat. Will Aleister Black ever wrestle again in WWE? I think he could be a good surprise entrant. Just like keep him cool for as long as they have, then bring him back at the Rumble. Who knows? Cena might be a good surprise entrant, but I feel that if he came back, it'd have to be for something related to the Fiend, because the Fiend deleted him basically. And the Fiend's too mired in the Randy Orton stuff. So that, I don't know. We'll see though. Carlito for a surprise entrant. Yes, make up for the fact he didn't show up on like Legends Night. Have him get his spot back at the Rumble. Let's see here. I'm seeing some other questions right now. Rain Cloud writes about, if they don't do St. Valentine's Day Massacre for February 14th takeover, it's gonna be a wasted opportunity. That's exactly what I fucking said. I don't think they're gonna do it though, because massacre is not a fun word right now, and so maybe they won't do that. Maybe St. Valentine's Day Mayhem or something. I don't know. Here we go. I should catch up on these chats now. Eric Douglas, $5. My prediction is that Bryan wins the Rumble, beats Roman at WrestleMania 37, Miz cashing in his Money in the Bank, only for Daniel to tap him out. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. CW Superman, let's be honest. Goldberg loses to Drew, goes on to win the Rumble and beats Roman at Mania. I've heard a lot of people say that, or speculate that's what's going to happen. That's been like a very common comment I've seen in my predictions video. And like, that might be the, you hear the rumors of like, oh, there's one idea they're floating around that nobody likes. Well, I feel we've heard that rumor for like the last 3 years running, where it's, oh, there's this really shitty option that nobody likes. How do we know we haven't experienced one of those already? You know, you don't know that. Maybe they had a whole bunch of better ideas in the last 3 years they haven't used, and we actually got the shitty one and we didn't know about it, you know? So maybe that's the bad one, but we'll see. Oh, somebody asked if we could see Jay White on Sunday. I don't fucking know. I don't know the status of his contract. And plus, like, if you brought Jay White in, no, like, I'm sorry, I'm not saying nobody would know who he was, but like, nobody who's like a hardcore WWE guy is going to know who the hell Jay White is, and they're not going to try and put over his accomplishments. It's going to be like, you know, like AJ Styles, but like even less recognizable. Because at least when AJ Styles showed up 4 years ago at the Rumble, like they said, oh, he's done all this in Japan, he's a former, you know, champion, all that stuff. Like, they can talk about that for a little bit for Jay White, but like there's a big hurdle. And let's just say, like, if AJ Styles is one of the few exceptions of people who got to leapfrog NXT, Jay White is not on that caliber. He's good, but he's not AJ Styles good where he can leapfrog NXT. That's all I'm saying. Stop banking on a CM Punk return. Joseph says he's going to stop banking on a CM Punk return. Oh, yeah. I mean, if he ever did show up, that'd be cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, but I don't think it's going to happen. Heisen Saul just chimed in with a super chat. Is there anything I would refuse to cover in a Wrestling with Regret episode? I don't know. Like, somebody once pitched me, like, talk about like the deaths that hit me the hardest. That seems really morbid. I don't want to do that. What else would I not cover? Yeah, anything like related to like, I mean, basically, I don't want to be like a Dark Side of the Ring where I talk about all this shitty, like gritty things end in death and stuff. That's just like, I don't want to do that. Like, I want to talk about like funny, bad, stupid things, not just like really, oh, bummer, like sad things. I'm trying to think about like, what wouldn't I cover? I don't know. Like, people ask me, oh, can you do like rank the greatest wrestlers, the greatest and worst gimmicks of all time? Those are incredibly subjective, and the criteria is vast, and I just couldn't do like best, worst, all-time singular thing. Like, it's, especially in that kind of range, it's very tough. But thank you though. Ahmed Feki, $5. Should the Fiend ever be in the title picture again? I feel like its character should be far away from the belt. I mean, put him in the title picture if it makes sense. The last couple of times Bray Wyatt's been in the title picture, it has not made sense. I think the Fiend especially won the title way too soon. Like, that should not have happened the way it did. So yeah, I think he can be a champion. It's great, but like, have it make sense and have the timing be right. Jake Johnson, $2. I am so lonely. I feel for you, Jake. Sorry to hear that. You know, I've got friends who I've talked to and they say they're lonely as well. It's like, it's the pandemic, man. And it's just like, I feel lonely too. I wish I could go up to Oregon, like whenever I please, to see my family. Like, I just lost my aunt this past weekend and I couldn't see her. I couldn't offer my my respects to her in her final hours. She was in hospice care for the last like 6 months of her life, and I visited her but once in that time. I couldn't get to see her, so I get that. The pandemic sucks. Like, all I can tell you is that you're not alone, and like, we're all here with you. Even though we are apart, we're all together in that way, and we just have to stay optimistic that the vaccine can roll through and that people can get it done and we can get out there and live life again. So thank you very much, Jake. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you as a fan. Kevin Patag, $10. Weird question. 90s WCW rings produced a very satisfying bump sound that was very distinct to them. That's because they were a lot harder than WWE rings today. Have you noticed this? Do you have a favorite bump sound from a specific promotion? I guess if I had to pick one, the old WCW rings are a very satisfying bumping sound, but you have to understand that the reason it sounds so good is because they allegedly were very hard rings. And so were the old WWF rings. Like, I think before at 98, they had very different rings than what they do now. Now they're super, like, apparently super padded as opposed to how they were. But like, those WCW rings, man, they were something else. Somebody wrote like a New Jack as a surprise entrant for the lulz. Walter, that's a good idea for a surprise entrant as well. Let's see here. Hang on, I'm going to put this fool in timeout. I don't know what this fool's problem is. Jackie Claymore, I don't know what your deal is. Heisen Saul, $5. Who's the worst big man? The Yeti, or Giant Gonzalez? That's a tough question. Giant Gonzalez, like, he had some good moments. Like the Yeti, you basically have to think Ron Reese from the Flock, or the personification of evil from the first episode of Ring of Glory. I've not seen enough of Ron Reese to know how he was as a big man. And Gonzalez was shit, but I don't know. It's like apples and oranges. Let's see here. By the way, I will say my aunt did not die from COVID. I will say that. She actually died from brain cancer. She was a real tough son of a gun when it came to that, because to the end, like, the hospice workers who took care of her and the doctors said that they'd never seen somebody fight so hard after her diagnosis. She had 2 separate surgeries to remove tumors in her brain, and it wasn't enough, but she fought and she outlasted. She definitely overstayed her life expectancy in hospice care. So I will say that. Groove Master Dre. Hey, Brian, what it is upon the biz? I was wondering if I plan on, you were wondering if I was planning on covering Men on a Mission in WWF soon. Maybe like would I talk about them singularly or as part of a larger thing on a broader topic? Maybe. Like, I've had fun talking about Men on a Mission in my brief chats about them in like the 93, 94 pay-per-views when they show up. And so I'd love to maybe talk about more in regards to Men on a Mission. Let's see here. Rarely Evan asked how to get the idea for the spray bottle. Spray bottle gimmick actually was something that began as kind of, I don't know if it was a rib, but it was like one of my first nights as a manager, and I was managing 2 guys who like didn't get along, and they were kind of like pit bulls with each other. They were kind of like doing this like, pissy fighting thing with each other. And we had an idea where they're starting to fight early on, and then I would just have a spray bottle and I'd miss them like 2 cats who were fighting and tell them stop it. And it was just a funny spot, and it got a good reaction. And then it just feel, well, let's let it stick, and then it no longer became like a fight deterrent between my guys. It was just like something I spray around at people. I cool my guys down. Actually, funny story. The guy I mentioned earlier who took that superplex off the top onto the floor, I managed him for a match once, and we did this thing where every time I sprayed him down, he just stopped what he was doing and just went, yeah, woo. And he's like this, like, he's kind of he's this like shorter, fat dude with like a balding ponytail. And so it's like, he was this kind of like, he leaned into that appearance though for his gimmicks. And so, yeah, I'd spray him down. He's like, yeah, like rubbed himself down. He's getting a nice like wash. That was pretty funny stuff. Let's see here. Since Queen of the Ring was on the bump this week, when will I get my turn, and what topic would I want to cover? I don't know, man. I don't know whether or not, well, I mean, I know why they're not reaching out to me. It's probably because I'm signed, but No, it'd be fun. It'd be fun to be on the bump or whatever. That's cool. It's awesome that Alex got on the bump. That I was really happy for her that she got that moment. Let's see here. What's the retribution deal with Ricochet and Woods? Good question. I want to know what's going on with that. Let's see here. Oh, got another super chat. Matt A, 489. Love your work. What are my thoughts on Nakamura in the Rumble? I think he'll do well. I think it'll be, it's like, I think he is a dark horse to win. I kind of agree with what Graves said about that. I think he could be a winner. I think it'd be weird for him to win too so soon, but, especially because the first one didn't really pan out well for him. But I think, it'd be cool. Do I think the men's Royal Rumble should go to 40 because how big the roster is? No, 30 is fine. We don't. It's like I kind of compare it to like how people treat WrestleMania now, where there's this idea where everyone's got to get on the card. It's WrestleMania. Everyone's got to show up. No, not everybody has to show up. There's a reason that WrestleMania is like the best is supposed to be the biggest show of the year, the showcase of the Immortals. Like, boil it down to your best of the best and just leave it at that. We don't need to get everyone a goddamn Mania payday. As fun as it is, like sometimes there's people who are going to be on the card and some who aren't. So I feel that way about the Rumble too. There's, you could probably do a 40-man. You could do a 50 or 60-man Rumble if you wanted to, but like no one's going to want to sit and watch that shit. The 50-man Rumble in Saudi Arabia was such a slog to get through. I would never want to watch that shit again. Trakes, $2 super chat. Just missed your review. We'll rewatch later. Lol. Well, thank you, Trakes. I appreciate that. I'm going to wrap this up to maybe, let's see here. Ooh, what a pre-recorded Rumble. Would that work like with Money in the Bank? That's a good question. Maybe. I think if you did a pre-recorded Rumble, that'd be a good way to do what I suggested with the Alexa Bliss, 3 Faces of Alexa, where she actually changes in the match in one go. That could happen, but I mean, we'll see. Yes, she was on the most recent episode of The Bump, if you're asking when Queen of the Ring was on The Bump. I got someone asking me a question a lot. When I do updated top 8s, yes, I've thought about doing updated versions of my top 8s. I definitely want to do a new, like my current top 8 favorite wrestlers, and maybe do a revised top 8 all time. Because it's different now than it was in fucking 2015 or 2014 when I did that list. Have I thought about what about Babatunde? Oh yeah, or Dabba-Kato as he's called now. Yeah. Let's get Dabba-Kato back at the Rumble. I felt bad for him, man. Like they were trying to push him. Like if anyone benefited from Raw Underground, it was him. But then they killed Raw Underground, and they've done jack shit with him since. And I feel bad about that. Let's see here. Adam Cole for Rumble winner. God, I hope not. I don't think that would. You got to keep the Undisputed Era going, man. Like, will Jeff Hardy do well in the Rumble? Maybe. I don't know. Ooh, who was the worst Rumble winner in all history? It's a good question. Like, I guess if you want to talk about like significance and whether it led to anything, I guess like Jim Duggan technically is the worst because like what the fuck came from that? I don't know. See here. Oh yes, William Regal's son signed with WWE. I heard that with NXT UK. Good for him. Good for them in general. 100-man Rumble, but everyone has 2 sets of attire. Sir, you just described the survival match in No Mercy, and that is the worst. I have to say this name out loud. Farts Piggy 66 499. I love how genuine and passionate you are about wrestling. Thank you. 2 questions. What are my favorite wrestling book and non-wrestling books? My favorite wrestling book. Ooh, I got a couple. Like, I got a soft spot for Mick Foley's first autobiography, Have a Nice Day, because that really broke the mold of wrestling books like forever. That basically was like the standard of which every wrestling autobiography had to follow. Jericho's first autobiography is fantastic. Bret Hart's autobiography is great, if a little long. I think he could cut 3, maybe 4 stories about how the times he cheated with his wife, and I think it'd be fine. My favorite non-wrestling book is The Godfather by Mario Puzo. The book that inspired the movie of the same name. Thank you very much for that question. Jennifer Campos, could we see a Hollywood scene like we saw Hollywood Rock in 03? Maybe. Like, I think I would love to see Rock and Cena team up now as 2 like overly entitled Hollywood stars, where Cena's like, you were right, Rock. You were right all along. But yeah, I mean, like if we brought Cena back, like as like a Hollywood character, like that'd be kind of cool. It'd be kind of a good way to get away with doing their, you know, heel Cena like they wanted to do. Like maybe they've not wanted to do, but fans have wanted to see it for so long. So perhaps, oh yeah, Controversy Creates Cash is a good book too. It's probably, I mean, I have to read it again to get on my official thoughts on it. But right as of right now, off the top of my head, I wouldn't put it in my top 5, top 10 maybe, but I don't know if I put it in my top 5 right now. Oh yeah, Sheamus in 02 or 2012 was not great. We saw Hollywood Cena last year. Yes, we did see Hollywood Cena in the Firefly Funhouse match. I will say, speaking of Hollywood Cena in the Firefly Funhouse match, next week my review is going to be of I'm ranking the all the cinematic matches from last year, from worst to best. I'm pretty sure I got them all included here, but you'll see my rankings for what the worst and best cinematic matches were last year. I'm going. Somebody asked if I ever thought of using a tennis racket to spite Jim Cornette. No, because like I already get enough Cornette comparisons. Unless somebody was paying me to be a Jim Cornette, like dressed up in cosplay and with the tennis racket and everything, I would never do that. The last thing I want to do is open up more comparisons. But thank you for asking, though. I think we're gonna wrap this up. I feel good about this point in the review. Thank you so much who've been watching and sticking around. Thank you so much for your super chats. And yeah, let's do this again next week. Reminder, you've got a couple days left to buy shirts on ProWrestlingTees.com to help benefit the American Lung Association. And thank you all so much. Oh, shit, one last super chat to close things out. I'm going with Bianca Belair and Daniel Bryan as the Royal Rumble winners, but I also wouldn't be opposed to Seth Rollins. Your thoughts? Well, Jacob, first of all, I like the idea of Seth being a surprise Rumble entrant. That's totally possible, and I'd be down for that. As far as who I think should win the Rumble matches, you just have to watch my predictions video to find out. But I will say one of those names that you listed is somebody who I picked. So I'll leave it at that, folks. Have a fun Royal Rumble weekend. Enjoy the pay-per-view. You'll be seeing my reaction video dropping for Rumble reactions happening later this weekend. Of course, my Rumble review. One last super chat from CW Superman. Forgot to mention, you're welcome for the Playboy. Oh, it's there. It's right there in the pile of mail behind me. So thank you very much. So yeah, enjoy Rumble weekend, everybody. Stay tuned for, if you have not seen my predictions, go check that out. Stay tuned for the Rumble review happening Monday morning. And later in the week, you'll see our real-time reactions for the Rumble matches, both the women's and the men's. So thank you once again for watching. And always remember, the influencer loves you. I'm Bryan Zane, and I'll see you next time.